every single mural I do becomes my next biggest achievement. For this particular one, some people might say I cheated. You expect criticism, I suppose, but many mural artists also do. It's great to add like a splash of colour and culture and just something playful that you would like doodle in your book as a kid. I had a photo of this space and then put the design in situ. So that's where like lots of drawing skills and painting skills come into play. And I find with mural art, you're always learning something new. So it's really inspiring.
Today Art in Adelaide is speaking with South Australian artist Althea Mallee. We're sitting here at Beerenberg Family Farm shop, and we are going to ask Althea some questions about her recent paintings here on the premises of Beerenberg Farm. The first question, of course, about your recent work. How this idea about painting mural at Beerenberg Farm came about, who initiated, and how it happened finally?
So I'm connected with one of the family members at the farm, and I proposed a mural. Yeah, lo and behold, they actually were already looking for a mural artist, so that worked out perfectly. We just connected, and they shared their ideas for the mural with me, and yeah.
Beerenberg approached Althea to do a mural form of art on our outdoor picnic area. For Beerenberg, this was very important as we wanted something that really spoke to our vision, which is to provide a true taste of the country life to guests that visit our farm. And we wanted something that was bright and engaging and vivid and spoke to what Beerenberg is all about.
When I was commissioned to create this piece, the owners and managers wanted a mural that really celebrated the farm life here at Beerenberg, from its history to its present.
It's also personally meaningful to the Paik family. There were 45 families that came out to this region and built the town of Hahndorf. They were escaping persecution from Prussia. There were original Paiks in that group of people that came out. This is, I should say, a 6th-generation family-owned and operated farm. So 5 generations of the farm were producing dairy for the region, but it was under the leadership of Grant Paik in the late 1960s that it became a strawberry farm. So there's been a pioneering and entrepreneuring spirit in the Paik family, and I guess this mural shows a bit of that history.
It's 21st century and lots of technologies and prints and all this stuff. Why people still ordering murals? Why is still this popular?
There's definitely been a resurgence of murals as of lately, especially in Australia as well. Murals definitely have this more of an artistic touch and a unique flavour to businesses or councils, schools even, that you can't quite get with like a decal or a sticker or something like that. Yeah, and also we live in a very beautiful natural environment, but urban areas often can look dull and very uninspiring sometimes as well. So it's great to add like a splash of colour and culture and gain a better perspective of what's in that community as well, and celebrating that.
And what type of murals do you normally paint? Indoor, outdoors, and for what type of businesses?
So indoor and outdoor could be on brick, outdoor or inside in nursing homes. Beerenberg itself is a farm. I've also done work for hairdressers even, and councils, so yeah.
How big are they? So I saw this mural and I saw you during the painting. It's quite big. And which is the biggest one?
Okay, so the biggest was 16 metres by 3.5 metres.
gosh,
So it's out
it's
at
huge.
Virginia. Yeah, it was definitely a challenge as well with the weather outdoors there. And in Virginia it's quite dusty and hot, so yeah, but it was incredible projects. That was for the V Hotel there. But yeah, they can vary so much in size. Indoor ones sometimes could be a bit smaller, just maybe 4 metres by 2.6, which is usually the standard height of a ceiling.
I know that you're also like normal painter and paint on canvas. What the technical difference between the common painting and mural painting in this huge scale?
So definitely the materials play a big part in that. So with canvas painting, primarily I use acrylic and oil paints. And with murals, you can use those mediums, but they're not necessarily going to last as long. So I prefer to use exterior or interior paints because they're made for that specific application. But they do come with their own challenges with blending, and all that sort of stuff is very different. Drying time's a lot faster usually as well. So I use resin lumber cider paint, which is an interior as well as exterior paint. And the reason I use resin is I find the coverage is probably one of the best, with Dulux being up there as well. But with resin, I choose their colour range because they have quite a breadth of different colours. Yeah, it just means less mixing involved as well. And the colours are also very strong, have a high level of pigmentation, so the colours are very bright. Yeah, you also need to prime the wall as well to begin with, which with the canvas often it comes primed unless you're doing it yourself as well. Also, I use spray cans as well, which I wouldn't normally use with canvas painting. I prefer using paint with brushes because that's what I've studied for many years. So for me, using brushes is a safety net and I know that I could be able to execute that quite well for customers. So when working on murals, the wall surface is unlike a canvas. So towards the end of the project, your brushes get pretty worn, and yeah, I still use them like this. So that can really depend on each project. So if it's going to be seen from a distance, maybe you want something far more contrasting than you would for like a small canvas that you see in a gallery, or even a large canvas that you see in a gallery, because you really want it to stand out and the details would just get lost if you overworked it. But whereas with a canvas painting, you can maybe hone in a bit more, especially if it's like a miniature painting. People want to look at all those little details and intricacies. So.
It's another question about mural painting, like psychological question. When you're painting in your studio, you're one alone with your art, with your creation, with your thoughts. When you're painting in public, it's absolutely different approach. Does it affect you when people come and talk to you during your painting, or asking questions, or discussing your painting behind your back?
Yeah, absolutely. In the beginning, I was very self-conscious painting in the public sphere. You expect criticism, I suppose, because, you know, people love to share their opinions on art. But yeah, with time, I just learned we're all human and we all make mistakes. And of course, I've made mistakes on murals. But the great thing with paint is you can just paint over it and start again, essentially. Yeah, and that idea of being watched as well while you're creating, because yeah, sometimes creativity, especially when I'm creating my canvas works, which is more my own personal practice on
Private.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like a different sort of energy, but when I'm out in the public, it feels like I'm more at service to the community, so it's a nice change of scenery. Although I'm starting to learn spray paints now, and I'm sort of in two sides about using them because of their effect upon the environment as well, so I try to use them very sparingly at this stage in time, and I'm hoping the companies will develop more sustainable practices around them because they use a lot of plastic and those sorts of things. For this particular mural as well, it's at the farm, there's a lot of people, so I don't want to be using spray paints, having all the fumes everywhere while everyone's around, so yeah, I only use that in the evenings for the clouds when no one's here. Often I get young children coming up to me and they're just so inspired by this artwork that's in front of them, asking, you know, a million questions about how did you do that? And, you know, I love sharing and, you know, educating people on, you know, how to paint because it's so amazing. But yeah, sometimes you get criticism, and that's normal because like everyone's got a different opinion on what art is, and that's absolutely subjective. And I always take like opinions on board. Sometimes I even ask people, hey, what do you think about this? Like get them involved in it as well, which I think is really awesome thing. I'm working on a project and it's quite a busy environment. I do pop a sign up just because we're on a time schedule and, you know, I want the job to be done in a certain amount of time for the client. So I'll put a sign up just saying, hey, this is my details, come chat with me in my break and I can discuss some things with you then.
When you're working on the project, you do some small sketches, and how did you then transfer this on the wall in a big scale?
So there's a couple of techniques that I use. Well, initially I will create a mock-up of the design onto the wall in situ, so I'm able to see where everything will fit proportionately, and also for the client as well, so they can see how it's going to fit into the space. And after that, the couple of techniques that I use the most is either what's called a squiggle grid. So with the squiggle grid, you do a bunch of squiggles on the wall. They could be symbols, so like maybe a smiley face or just something playful like you would like doodle in your book as a kid. But every part needs to be different because if it's all the same, then I'll get lost. And from that squiggle, once I've got it in all the areas that I want, I take a photo of that squiggle grid. I'll put it on my computer and then transfer the design over the top of it, but reduce the opacity so I can see through. And then with that design, I can see where each element lines up on the squiggle. So essentially it's like a grid that you would normally do, but I find the squiggle grid method much better because you have a broader area to work with, whereas with a grid you have to work out where it lines up in the grid, and also you have to get it mathematically correct as well, which isn't always the case when you're working outside because, you know, the floor might not be even or something like that as well. So for this particular one, some people might say I cheated. So I used a projector, but many mural artists also do. Just because there were so many elements in this mural, I wanted to get it correct, and it's also just a much faster way to execute the mural. So I projected it onto the wall, just with an Epson projector, nothing too fancy, and just put the outlines that I could see. I was only able to project this during the day, so I made sure that the image that I used to project with was high contrast, and then I made it black and white as well. And you know, from time to time, things might sway a bit proportionately, so that's where like lots of drawing skills and painting skills come into play. That also needs to be utilised.
And do you improvise and add some details on the go, or you keep following your initial sketch?
Yeah, so it really depends. Sometimes when I'm within a space, especially with the Beerenberg mural as well, you get to know the community a lot more. So the design can shift and change a bit, of course, with permission. So for this particular panel's composition, I made an artistic choice and made a slight adjustment. So originally the rustic Beerenberg sign was on this panel. As I was designing the image at home, I had a photo of this space and then put the design in situ. But without being present on the site while creating the design, some changes sometimes need to happen when you begin the composition. So we realised that this sign actually looked better over here with the strawberry arc. The reason for that is when people sit in front of it, they take a photo, they can see the sign. So yeah, I ended up shifting that over to there.
When you're painting outdoors, I know that you protect your painting as much as you can from weather conditions, but anyways, in a couple of years with our son, I believe that any protection wouldn't be this strong. And what do you do in this case if it starts peeling or fading? Or...
Each case is going to be different. I do use a UV anti-graffiti coating. I do suggest that people use that with each project because it will extend the life by maybe a couple of years or so at the minimum, and also protects against anti-graffiti. But yeah, the Australian sun is very, very harsh. Yeah, that's why we'll use brands like Dulax and Resine because they are made for our client. Resine, even though it's a New Zealand brand, has shown to withhold in our climate as well. Yeah, but eventually, yeah, with time, like all things are going to fade, of course. Depending on how severe the cracking is and the peeling and that sort of thing, I might need to sand back and, you know, do some touch-ups potentially only as well, or maybe have to start again fresh with just like a loose base. So yeah, it really depends. I think the worst case scenario is usually going to be on some sort of weatherboard or plywood or something like that. I have been called in to do some touch-ups for other people's work in the past as well. They just haven't been able to find that mural artist again, or they've been busy. And yeah, they're one of the most challenging. You really should start from square one. But if it's on like brick or something like that, or concrete, for example, or an indoor wall, more than likely it just has faded with time and yeah, just needs some touch-ups.
So you just refreshen it?
Yeah.
And how did you become the mural artist? It's a question because it's not for everyone. How did you find this job attractive for you, and how did you start?
At university, I was doing very small paintings. I loved detail work. And our teacher there, Eleanor Session, she was always pushing us to go bigger on canvases and that sort of thing. And yeah, it really inspired me to go bigger. But it wasn't until I was working in Hahndorf and I'd done a canvas painting for a Nepalese restaurant, and he asked me, would you like to paint on our wall? And I was very nervous, didn't think I could do it, so I pulled out of the job, and another South Australian artist took the job. And yeah, I contacted the restaurant at the time and I was like, did you find someone? He's like, oh, he's here working now. And yeah, I went inside and it was South Australian artist Sam Brooks, yeah, incredible artist. And he just gave me so much encouragement and positivity. And I think with mural art, it's good to connect with a mentor that can help you in that way. So I've had many mentors throughout the years. And yeah, after I kind of mulled over his positive advice, I thought, yeah, I'll give this a go. And a mural fell in my lap. And yeah, I started painting big, and I realised that it's an incredible way of connecting with the public and beautifying a space, or fixing a problem maybe as well that an area might be having. Yeah, it's really challenging as well. Working for long hours can be physically draining.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, but I've always enjoyed sports. So for me, it was a way of melding my two loves together, creativity and physical activity in one. You know, you're climbing up high ladders or going on scissor lifts. And I did have a fear of heights, which I still do to a degree, but it's something that I've been able to overcome. And I find with mural art, you're always learning something new. So it's really inspiring.
So, and can you climb the ladder when you paint?
Yeah, absolutely.
I can't. And it's an interesting question. How do you survive when you're painting in weather conditions?
For sure.
Heat, rain, wind, or you just miss these days?
Yeah, so if it's too hot, over anything above 35, sometimes I would even say a little bit less than that, the paint actually won't adhere properly. So not only do I get a break, but the mural gets a break as well. And yeah, when it's raining, so this can be one of the most trickiest things because the forecast could say there's no rain and you turn up and there is rain. Actually just happened the other day.
Yeah, and in some paints need time to stabilize, to...
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh.
So there's the option of either if you think it's going to rain, take that day off just to be safe. Otherwise, you could like put up kind of like a canopy sort of scenario, but that can get a bit tricky depending on the wind. Yeah, so yeah, you're really in all the elements.
So you always depend on the weather.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and trying to work schedules around it, and yeah.
I'm curious, do you have some like dream to paint mural at some specific place? Let's say in South Australia or maybe worldwide, but is it some specific place which you keep in mind?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would really love to paint on a really large scale public wall that's either close to a city so it can be admired from many people. I do have my eye on a wall near the Adelaide airport. It's on an apartment building. Yeah.
That's a good choice.
Thank you. So you see it pretty much as you're leaving, and yeah, those that come into the city as well, you know, see that flash of art as soon as they arrive in Adelaide, maybe for the first time, and gives that really beautiful first impression of
that's a good
beautiful
idea.
city. Yeah. And also overseas in Italy, so I lived there for a couple of years and has a really fond place in my heart. So yeah, I'm currently in the process of working towards that now.
That's good.
Thank you.
And do you work one alone on your murals, or you use some help?
Yeah, so from time to time I'll have assistants come and help me. My husband, he's really great. He's also a mechanical engineer, so he's really quite resourceful and yeah, quite a blessing on site. And I've had other fellow South Australian artists come and help me on site, and time to time I also help other artists. So yeah, it's a great collaborative.
It's a good collaboration.
Yeah.
And the last question, which, in your opinion, is your biggest achievement in mural painting?
So I think every single mural I do becomes my next biggest achievement because I learn so much. But recently I painted on colour-bond shed for a hairdresser, and I challenged myself to paint the entire thing only with spray paint cans.
Wow.
And I hadn't ever done that before, just maybe some embellishments or some clouds in the sky for other murals. And yeah, from start to finish, I did the entire thing except for priming the shed, of course, in spray cans. And it was a very big learning curve. You feel like you're starting from the beginning all over again. But towards the end, I really had this love for spray cans and the layering, and found it quite similar to almost oil paint, like glazing. So yeah, that's probably my biggest achievement so far.
And is it big one?
Yeah, it's I think 7 by 2 meters tall. Yeah. In terms of the biggest one, I recently assisted Sam Brooks, the gentleman I was talking about earlier that inspired me to mural painting.
Yep.
And yeah, this mural, I think in total was 900 square meters.
Oh my gosh.
So 12 stories high of scaffolding. I assisted him on this incredible mural in Glenside, and yeah, physically enduring because we're going up a scaffold every day. Mentally as well, trying to work behind a scaffold. So yeah, that was...
It's unbelievable.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. And we encourage all the viewers to come to Beerenberg Farm to see Althea's painting, maybe to take some selfie. It's in picnic zone under the roof, so weather can't stop you. Come, see, pick some strawberries, enjoy Althea's art.